Kaijus! So welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you are returning back, welcome. So I tend not to do like reaction videos, and I'm not doing a reaction video because I've already seen this trailer. It came out earlier today, but I just want to say I'm a huge Dune fan. I love Dune. It's been part of my life since my father introduced this book to me. I have read all of Frank Herbert's Dune novels. I read a few of the Kevin J. Anderson and his son's novels, but I can't talk about those. And it's actually been a while since I've read books 3 through 6 of Herbert's. I actually just reread Dune and then Dune Messiah recently this year. But I'm gonna probably reread Dune again before I watch the movie. So Dune's been a big part of my life. As a woman, well, I'll go as a girl, as a teenage girl, I loved Dune. I was so fascinated with the Bene Gesserits, and I was so fascinated with not just the Bene Gesserits, but like the Fremen women. So like I don't call myself a feminist. I do believe that people have like their place in the universe, and just because it may not fit what you think that it works, but I feel like everyone has their role in life. And as long as you're being treated kindly and with respect, just because a woman wants to be a homemaker doesn't mean that they're less than a corporate CEO wife. And which some feminists would disagree with me on that. They feel that homemaker, like the stay-at-home mom, is a demeaning role, but I don't think so. I think if that makes you happy, that makes you happy, and do what makes you happy. What makes me happy? Kaijus, Star Wars, food, and Dune. So let's kind of go over this. This is an interesting template that I'm trying that I've never done before, so let's see if this even works right. I might just record this and trash can it later, but anyways, let's do it. So you start off with Warner Brothers, or Warner Media, and Legendary. In nice gold. Then you have Paul Atreides. Then Chani standing on. And then they go into Keys. And then, oh my gosh, it's a crusade. Now, I wanted to pause it. So the intro, Paul in the books, and if I hadn't mentioned, this might be spoilery if you've never read the books. If you've read the books, this is not a spoiler. If you have not read the books and you don't want to know about Dune, I don't know why you clicked on this video, because we're going over this trailer. And I might say some spoilers. So in the books, Paul has the visions of Chani even before he even meets her. And so it definitely looks like that's more of a vision, Chani. And the next scene, if I had to make a guess, is actually Lady Jessica and Paul. And that's my guess of the Harkonnens mixed with the Sardaukar attacking, what was the city? Arrakeen. Where the Atreides family was seated at, on Arrakis. That's my guess. And then the next scene is the famous box scene where Paul is tested to see if he's human. And I just, it's interesting because this scene is so pivotal in the books. And then even in the future, in Dune Messiah, when Paul talks to, the Reverend Mother Mahayam again, it's, they kind of reference the scene. So this is a very big scene in Paul's life, and it's very interesting to see how they started, one of the major scenes, in the trailer is that they start with this. But it sets the tone of, I think, the whole universe. What's in the box? The dick in the box. Sorry. I have to say, one thing that I I thought, so I'm not a fan of 1984 Dune, and I want to rewatch it with more of an open mind because I haven't seen it in a few years. But I wasn't a big fan. I think they took everything to the extremes. I think they took like the Reverend Mother's design to the extreme, the Harkonnen design to an extreme. Sci-fi, I think the Dune, I think it was fine. I think Children of the Dune, they went wacky with the costumes. But I feel like this movie, like so far just based on the trailer and like the stills that we've seen, it looks sci-fi. Like it doesn't look like, oh, this was shot over in like, Germany. It has an off-world vibe to it. Very sci-fi vibe, but it looks natural. Like, the Reverend Mother with like the netting and stuff like that looks interesting, but it doesn't look weird. Like I felt like Dune 1984's version looked really weird. I kind of liked Sci-Fi's like her hat. I kind of liked it. But yeah. So, let's continue with this scene, the Gom Jabbar. So there was Josh Brolin, who is not an ugly lump of a man. And when I heard he was casted, I was like, he's not an ugly lump of a man. He's quite attractive. Like, Josh Brolin is a very attractive, not an ugly lump of a man. So I think sci-fi version was the only version where they really casted a ugly lump of a man. Even though, like, that actor's not, like, ugly. But, Patrick Stewart in 1984, I mean, Patrick Stewart is just Patrick Stewart. He's adorable as hell. And not an ugly lump of a man either. But he's still, like, that's the best thing of 1984 is Patrick Stewart. And then you hear her just talking about the father and, there's no saving the father. Like, the first step in evading a trap is knowing it's there. Anyways. And then there's Oscar Isaac, Mr. Dreamy McBoat. Or McBoat Dreamy, or whatever. And then you get to see more of Caladan, which I think even in the books you don't really, like, visually, I mean, like, he never really describes Caladan as much. Because really they leave. Like, it's, oh, we're at Caladan, next we're on the freighter, and then we're on Arrakis. So you don't really get to see that much of Caladan. So it is kind of cool to see more of Caladan. And then you get to sit introduced to Lady Jessica and that loving embrace by Oscar Isaac, or I assume it's a loving embrace. And then you see Arrakis, Dune. And you see like these cool little costumes of like her and like shrouded in well, I don't think it's lace, it's more like fabric, lace fabric or something. I don't know. I know nothing about fabric really. And then you see Oscar McDreamy Boat looking at his son like, you're not as sexy as me, son. Then you see Duncan, Idaho, which, okay, so I have to say, like, Duncan, Idaho, when I heard that Jason, how do you say his last name, Momoa, was casted, I was just like, I guess because, like, in my mind, Duncan had more, like I said, Duncan has a feline grace. And I pictured, like, kind of like a male ballet dancer. I mean, could Jason Momoa do, like, ballet? Yeah, ballet with blades. So, I mean, but I'm not entirely unhappy. Jason Momoa is not my type of man, but I wouldn't kick him out of bed. But I think it also shows, and I think that's something that's a little absent in sci-fi versions even, is, Paul loved Duncan, and like, and Duncan, Idaho is so important in the whole Dune saga. So I think like showing this like little scene of them like embracing is definitely like shows like a strong relationship between the two characters. Then you have Stilgar, like briefly. And then you have, I think this is the Harkonnens. I'm pretty sure that's just regular Harkonnens, not the Sardaukar mixed in. I think the Sardaukar, what we're going to glimpse the Sardaukar comes later. But you have Stilgar, and I like Stilgar. I think they did, I mean, knowing the actor, I think he's a good choice for Stilgar. We'll see how his portrayal is. Then you have the Harkonnen on Gady Prime. Well, I assume it's Gady Prime. Looks like they're about to get ready to rumble. And, oh, I'm like just noticing the ships in the background. They just kind of remind me of like Star Wars, like the dreadnoughts. Anyways, let's go on. Then you have, oh shit, what's his name? Completely blanked. He was in Guardians of the Galaxy. He's the wrestler dude. My mind completely blanked. And then you have a dude from, I'm also blanking. See, Swedish. He's a Swedish actor that was in this girl with the girl with the dragon tattoo. I think it was the Swedish version, or was it the American version? I don't remember. Anyways, him as Baron Harkonnen. He doesn't look that fat. I mean, he looks fat, but he doesn't look that fat. So, you know, the Baron Harkonnen was a fat man. I'm just glad he has like all the boils and pussiness like 1984's version. It was so gross. And then you see the Harkonnens burning down. Arakeen, Lady Jessica, Yui, Dr. Yui. And then these guys in jetpacks that I'm going to assume these guys are the Sardaukar troops. Fight like demons. And then you see Jason Momoa going crazy. Are you an animal, Paul Atreides? Are you human? And then there's Cheney Love Girl. Which, let's talk about Cheney. So like I heard in like some article that they're talking about having more feminist ideals in Dune. And I'm like, what? I mean, sure she serves him coffee because, I mean, I give my husband coffee. It's like coffee service in the books. It's written about a couple of times. But Cheney can slit your throat and then serve you coffee, you know, pour it down your throat. Like, so she's a badass. Like, I mean, sure, she serves her husband coffee, but I mean, like, I don't slit people's throats on the norm. But I do serve my husband coffee, and I don't mind. You know, I like him. I appreciate what he does for me sometimes, and so he gets coffee. But yeah, I don't kill people for my husband, though. Cheney does kill people for her husband. I'm like, so the whole feminist argument, I don't get it. But anyways, let's talk about this still suit. I think it looks so cool. At first I was a little like, but then as I still seen the stills and stuff like that, it looks pretty badass. I probably wouldn't want to wear one, but it looks pretty badass. And then more fighting. Is that the Baron Harkonnen? Is that, I don't get the guy in the, no, I don't know. It's kind of weird. I don't know. Do you know who that guy is, like, bathing in weird water stuff? Lady Jessica looking sad. Their little Atreides battle code. Or, I mean, I think that was kind of cool in the books, how they had their own, like, private battle language. That's probably not battle language, that's probably just like a... And then the sandworm. Look at those damn teeth. Looks insane. Oh, and there's Dr. Yui again. With the Sardaukar, or, well, the Harkonnens or Sardaukar, whatever. And then there's Dr. Kynes, who is casted as a woman, which is fine. This little dragonfly ships. So, I just noticed, like, the Harkonnens are all, like, white. I wonder if it's, like, war paint? Like, or are they, like... Skady Prime, like devoid them of any skin tone coloring. Like, I wonder what's up with that. That's interesting. Then it looks like Oscar McDreamboat with probably shout out Mapes dying in his arms. I can see the future, says Paul Atreides. Another Stilgar. Still. Duncan, Idaho. Cheney. Then the Fear Litany. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Then Glittery Sand of Space. And then My Lord Duke. So they're definitely not like hiding that this is definitely going to continue. Like, I mean, like if they were to stop before the whole takeover, the movie would be very short. So it makes sense that, you know, Oscar McDreamboat dies as well. Paul Atreides dies. I mean, Leto dies, and then, oh no, Sandworm. That is pretty cool, though. I like the skin plates on his back and stuff. And then it stops. And that logo is wicked. I like the logo. And then Skarsgård, that's his name. December 18th. Okay, so I don't know how that turned out. We'll see how that turned out. But I'm excited. I'm super excited. Like, the music, I'm not really a big fan of the music of the trailer. I feel like there's parts where it just kind of was like, so it wasn't like a trailer where the music gets you really amped up. But I think, I don't think Dune's that kind of movie anyways. You know, Dune's super complicated in certain aspects, but I think it's also a simple story in some other aspects. But I think they are doing a good job. I'm not sure if I mentioned this, but apparently there's 2 movies for the first book, which makes me even more excited because I feel like Dune can be done in one movie if it's like long enough, but I think how they're approaching it is, one, monetarily wise, they want to make money. Secondly, I think it helps them build the world, you know, because they're, you know, the Dune universe is a little complicated in some aspects, and one thing that's absent that you really don't see, unless that one thing was a guild navigator, which I don't think it was, is the guild. You don't really see the guild in this trailer. So it would be interesting to see how they handle the guild, because the guild also is a very important part of the universe. But I mean, it's a 3-minute trailer, and they don't want to give out everything. Like, I told my husband, I was like, well, it's not like, because like Pacific Rim 2, like the trailer, that it just like gave away everything, and it's just like, okay, so by the time of the movie, we just saw the movie. But being that we know Dune, it's kind of like, okay. But anyways, I don't want to make this too long a video. I am excited. But I'm cautiously excited because I don't want to like overhype myself, and like, cause like I haven't really followed a lot of Dune news just because I don't want to get overly like pumped up and excited and then be disappointed in the theaters. I kind of did that with Rise of Skywalker, or is it is that the last Star Wars movie? And I was, like, I wasn't disappointed, but I wasn't, like, well, that's a different topic for a different day. But anyways, I'm cautiously optimistic. Let's just say that. That's a good thing. I'm cautiously optimistic. So anyways, guys, like and subscribe. Join me for future videos, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.